Good evening, everyone. In the last session, we discussed about Spring modules, right? So here we have Spring Core module, Spring Context module, Spring JDBC, Spring ORM, Spring AOP, Spring WebMVC, Spring Security, Spring Social, Spring Batch, Spring Data JPA, Spring REST, and Spring Cloud. So Spring is very flexible framework. It will not force us to use all the modules of the Spring. Based on the requirement, we can pick up particular module and we can use that module. Spring is a versatile framework. Easily it can be integrated with other frameworks. Spring is versatile. Easily it can be integrated with the other frameworks. Spring, the current version of the Spring framework is 6.0. Spring framework is under license of VMware Tangia now. Okay, good. So Spring Core, as we discussed in the last session, Spring Core is the base module in the Spring framework. Spring Core module providing fundamental concepts of the Spring framework like IOC container, dependency injection, bean lifecycle, bean scopes, and auto wiring. So core module providing fundamental concepts of the Spring like IOC container, dependency injection, bean lifecycle, bean scopes, and auto wiring. Then what is the Spring context? Spring context means it will deal with the configurations required for our Spring applications. So AOP is nothing but aspect-oriented programming. AOP is used to separate business logics and secondary logics in the project. So business logic, nothing but based on the requirement we are going to develop. Secondary logic means security, logging, transaction, auditing, exceptions. These are called as secondary logics. We are not going to combine the business logic and secondary logic in the project. We are going to separate them. In order to separate them, we will use AOP concept. Right. Spring JDBC. Spring JDBC is used to simplify database communication logic. So these are the common steps we need to write in every program to interact with the database, like load the driver, get the connection, statement, query, close the connection, all that stuff. Using Spring JDBC, we can directly execute query. The remaining part, Spring JDBC will take care. Okay, so to simplify the database communication logic, Spring JDBC we are going to use instead of Java JDBC. Spring WebMVC. Spring WebMVC is used to develop both web applications and distributed applications. Web applications are used for customer to business communication. Distributed applications will be used for business to business communication. Spring ORM, that is object relational mapping. Spring framework having integration with the ORM frameworks, Spring ORM data JPA like that. Here, JDBC will represent data in the text format, whereas ORM will represent the data in the objects format. Okay, Spring security. Spring security is very crucial for every application. Security, we are going to implement with respect to authentication and authorization. Authentication means checking the username and password of the user to allow the login. Once the user is logged in, which functionality he can access, that we can check by using authorization. So Spring security with OAuth 2.0 we can implement. Spring security with JWT also we can implement. Spring security is part of the Spring framework, which is used to secure our applications. Spring batch. Batch means bulk operation. So when we want to perform some bulk operation on multiple records, so for that we are going to use Spring batch concept. Then Spring Cloud. Spring Cloud is providing several tools to quickly build distributed systems, monitoring of our application, load balancer for our application, API gateway for our application, service registry, circuit breaker, routing. All these things will be provided by Spring Cloud. So to develop microservices of our applications, we are going to use this Spring Cloud. Then what is the Spring Test? Spring Test provides unit test framework to implement unit test for our project. So these are several modules available in the application. Okay, guys. So let us start with the base module in the Spring framework, which is Spring Core module. So if you want to learn any module in the Spring, or if you want to learn the Spring Boot and microservices, the first thing that we need to learn is Spring Core module. So what is this Spring Core module? Spring Core module is all about dependency injection. What is the Spring Core module? Spring Core module is all about dependency injection, is all about managing the dependencies, among the classes with a loosely coupling. Okay, guys. So what is the purpose of this Spring Core module? Spring Core module, we are going to learn to manage dependencies among the classes with a loosely coupling. Spring Core module is all about managing dependencies among the classes with a loosely coupling. Okay, guys. Sir, what is the difference? What is the purpose of this managing the dependencies? What is the meaning of managing the classes? What is loosely coupling? What is this? We are not understanding this statement. Okay, guys. So we are trying to understand what is the Spring Core. Spring Core module is all about managing dependencies among the classes with loosely coupling. Spring Core module is all about managing the dependencies among the classes with loosely coupling. Okay, let us understand what is the meaning of managing the classes. In project, we will develop several classes. Yes or no? In project, we will develop several classes. All those classes, we can categorize into 3 types. All those classes we can categorize into 3 types, guys. One is called as Pojo. Second one is Java Bean. Third one is component. Right? What is the meaning of your project? Project is nothing but a collection of classes. What is the meaning of the project? Project means a collection of classes. Spring Core module is all about managing dependencies among the classes with loosely coupling. Spring Core module is all about managing the dependencies among the classes with loosely coupling. So in project, we will develop several classes. Okay, all those classes we can categorize into 3 types. What are those 3 types of the classes? One is Pojo, second one is Java Bean, third one is component. So guys, do you know what is the difference between Pojo class, Java Bean class, and component class? Any idea? Anyone having the idea about Pojo class, Java Bean class, and component class? Anyone having the idea about Pojo, Java Bean, and component? Come on, guys. So Spring Core module is all about managing the dependencies. Spring Core. It is all about Spring Core. It is all about Spring Core. It is all about managing dependencies among the classes with loosely coupling. Spring Core module is all about managing the dependencies among the classes with loosely coupling. In project, we will develop several classes. All those classes we can categorize into 3 types. First one is a Pojo class, second one is a Java Bean class, and the third one is component class. Okay, so what is Pojo? Any Java class which is normal Java classes, any Java class which can be compiled by using JDK, that is called as Pojo. Getting my point? Any Java class which can be compiled using JDK software. Using JDK software is called as Pojo class. That means ordinary Java class, simple Java class. Any Java class that we are developing in the project, any Java class which can be compiled by using only JDK software, then that is called as Pojo class. That means our classes should not extend, should not implement any JWE related or any framework related classes or interfaces. A plain Java class. What is Pojo? Pojo stands for plain old Java object. What is the full form of the Pojo? Pojo means plain old Java object. Any Java class which can be compiled by using only JDK is called as Pojo class, right? So class demo, it is having integer ID, string, name. That's it. So now, can I compile this Java class by using only JDK? Yes, this can be compiled by using only JDK. So this is a Pojo. Example 1, below is Pojo class. Below class is valid Pojo. Below class is valid Pojo because it is having a simple Java class. Okay, class demo 1, assume that. Similarly, I'm going for class demo 2 extends from thread class. My demo 2 is extending from thread class. So is this class is valid Pojo or it is invalid Pojo? Come on guys. This class is valid Pojo or invalid Pojo? Valid or invalid? Invalid Pojo, na? This is also a valid Pojo. Why? Because I'm extending from thread. Where is the thread? Thread is available in the lang package. Lang package available in the JDK only, right? So this demo class is a normal Java class. It can be compiled by using JDK. Demo 2 class is available as a Pojo. Why? Because demo 2 class is also extending from thread class. Class demo 1, class demo 2, these classes can be called as Pojo classes. Because demo class can be compiled by using JDK, demo 2 class also can be compiled by using JDK. Even though it is extending from thread class, thread is part of the lang package. Lang package is part of the JDK. Lang package is part of the JDK. That's why this example 2 also Pojo. Example 2 is also Pojo. Let me go for example 3. Here, instead of extending the properties, I'm implementing implements runnable. Okay, I'm implementing runnable demo 3. So demo 3 is a Pojo or it is not a Pojo. Assume that here I will override run method. Here I will write the run method. So demo 3 is a Pojo or it is not a Pojo. Demo 3 is also Pojo. Why? Because it is implementing runnable. Runnable interface is available in lang package. So it can be compiled by using JDK. So any Java class which can be compiled by using only JDK software is called as Pojo class. Simple Java classes. We can also call them as plain old Java objects. Okay. Now let me take another example. I'm taking example 4. Example 4 I'm taking. Now demo 4 extends or implements servlet interface. Demo 4 implements a servlet interface. Can you tell me this class is a Pojo or this class is not Pojo? Example 4, Pojo or not Pojo? Pojo or not Pojo? Not Pojo. Why? Because not Pojo. Because below class is invalid. Below class is not Pojo. Why? Because this class is implementing servlet interface. Servlet is not part of JDK. Servlet is part of JEE. Below class is not Pojo because servlet is part of JEE, not part of the JSE JDK. Are you guys able to understand what is Pojo? In our project, multiple classes will be available. So here we are going to learn Spring Core module. What is a Spring Core module? Spring Core module is all about managing the dependencies among the classes with loosely coupling. So in project, we will develop several classes. All those classes we can categorize into 3 types. One is Pojo, second one is Java Bean, third one is component. Plain old Java object. Any Java class which can be compiled by using only JDK software is called as Pojo. Below class is valid Pojo. Okay, demo 1. And below class is valid Pojo, demo 2. Below class is valid Pojo, demo 3. But demo 4 is not Pojo because it is implementing servlet. Servlet is part of JEE. Servlet is part of JEE. So with this, you understand what is Pojo? Pojo means A simple Java class which can be compiled by using JDK software. Ordinary Java classes are called as POJO classes. Next one, what is Java Bean? Next one, what is Java Bean? Can anyone tell me what is the difference between Java Bean? Can anyone tell me what is the difference between Java Bean? What is Java Bean? We understood what is POJO. Can you tell me what is Java Bean? Can you guys tell me what is Java Bean? All of you. All of you, can you tell me what is Java Bean? Any idea? Any idea? What is Java Bean? What is Java Bean? Come on, guys. I want you to answer. What is Java Bean? I want you to answer what is Java Bean. I want you to answer what is Java Bean. A class which is used in the Spring. A class which is used in the Spring is called Java Bean. Guys, what is the Java Bean? The class which follows Bean specification rules is called as Java Bean. Any Java class which follows Bean specification rules is called as Java Bean. Any Java class which follows Bean specification rules is called as Java Bean. Any Java class which follows Bean specification rules is called as Java Bean. Are you guys clear with my point? Sir, what is the meaning of Bean specification rules? First one, class should implement serializable interface. Class should implement serializable interface. This is one rule. Class should have serializable interface. Guys, any Java class which follows Bean specification rules is called as a Java Bean. Okay, what is the meaning of Bean specification rules? What is the meaning of Bean specification rules? Class should implement the serializable interface. That is the first rule. Class should have private data members, nothing but variables. Variables should be private. Every private variable should have setter, public setter and getter method. Public setter and public getter method. Classes should have public zero param constructor. Classes should have zero param constructor. Classes should have zero param constructor. So these are all the rules of the bean. Any Java class which follows bean specification rules, that class is called as Java bean. So what are those bean rules? Classes should implement serializable interface. Classes should have private data members, I mean to say variables. Every private variable should have public setter and public getter method. Class should have zero param constructor. Classes should have zero param constructor. Any Java class which follows bean specification rules is called as a Java bean. So what are the rules of the Java bean? Classes should have implement serializable interface. Classes should have private variables. Every private variable should have public setter and public getter method. Classes should have zero param constructor. If your class follows these rules, then your class is called as Java bean. What is Pojo? The Java class which can be compiled by using only JDK. Plain old Java objects are called as Pojo. Any Java class which can be compiled by using only JDK software is called as Pojo. Any Java class which follows bean specification rules, that class is called as a Java bean. What are the bean specification rules? It should implement a serializable interface. Classes should have private variables. Every private variable should have public setter and public getter method. Classes should have zero param constructor. Then that class is called as a bean class. Then that class is called as a bean class. Bean classes are used to exchange the data. Bean classes are used to write business logic and to store and retrieve the data. And to store and retrieve data, we are going to use these bean classes. Bean classes are used to write the business logic. Bean classes are used to write the business logic, and we are going to use these classes to exchange the data. I want to send the data from one class to another class. I want to send the data from one class to another class. So such kind of things we can do by using this Java bean class. Such kind of things can be done by using Java bean class. Are you guys able to understand my point? Are you guys able to understand my point? Yeah, please read the rules. Java bean. Any Java class which follow bean specification rules, any Java class which follow bean specification rules, that Java class is called as Java bean. That Java class is called as Java beans. Perfect. Are you clear? Perfect. Next one. What is component? Guys, what is component? Can you guys guess what is component? Can you guys tell me what is a component class? Any idea? We understood what is Pojo. We understood what is a Java bean. Now we are going to understand what is component. Can you guys tell me what is a component? Can you guys tell me what is component? Java bean. Huh? Already we explained Java bean, right? Java bean means these rules it should follow. If your class is following these rules, then it is called as a Java bean. Pojo means normal Java class which can be compiled by using JDK. That is called Pojo. Next one, what is a component? The Java class which contains business logic is called as components. The Java class which contains business logic is called as component class. Example, our controllers, our service classes, and our DAO classes. These classes are called as component classes. The Java class which contains business logic is called as component class. So to handle the request and response, controllers will be available as we discussed. Our web layer will be available. Controllers will be available in the project, and service classes will be available in the project. Service classes will contain the business logic. And here we have controllers. Controllers will have logic to deal with the request and response. Controllers will have the logic to deal with the request and response. Service classes will have the business logic. DAO classes will have the logic to interact with the database. DAO classes will have the logic to interact with the database. Are you clear with my point, guys? So all the Java classes which contains the business logic is called as component class. Component classes. Controllers will have the logic to deal with request and response. Controller classes will have logic to deal with request and response. From the UI, we will get a request. That request will be handled by our controller class. We have a service class which will contain the business logic, password encryption, password decryption, sending the email, sending the OTP, generating the random password, export the Excel sheet, export the PDF report. All such kind of business logics we are going to write in the service layer. Okay, and we will have DAO classes. Okay, service classes will have business logic of our project. Service classes will have business logic of our project. Sir, what is the meaning of a business logic? Example: generate OTP, send OTP, send email, encrypt and decrypt password, etc. All these things comes under service layer, business logic. Okay. So in the component classes, we are going to write our application business logic. Controllers, services, DAO classes will comes under components. Controller classes will have the logic to deal with the request and response. And service classes will have the logic of our project, like generating the OTP, sending the email, encryption, decrypting. All these things comes under that. DAO classes will contain the logic to communicate with the database. DAO classes will contain the logic to communicate with the database. DAO classes will communicate the logic with the DAO classes will contain the logic to communicate with the database, like for inserting the record, for updating the record, for deleting the record, for all that stuff. We are going to write the logic. That logic we will write in a class. The class which contains the logic to communicate with the database, that class is called as a DAO class. That class is called as a DAO class. Are you guys able to follow me? Pojo, Java Bean and component. Pojo, Java Bean and component. The Java classes which contain business logic is called as component classes. Controllers, services, DAOs comes under component. Controller classes will have the logic to deal with the request and response of our application. Service classes will have the business logic of our project. Generating the OTP, sending the email, encrypting the password, decrypting the password. All these things comes under our service classes. DAO classes will contain the logic to communicate with the database. DAO classes will contain the logic to communicate with the database. Are you guys clear with my point? So what is a project? Project means a collection of classes. Right? So there are so many classes we are going to develop in the project. Okay. So in our project, we are going to develop several classes. So based on the functionality, based on the role that class is playing, we can divide those classes into three types: Pojos, Java Beans, component. Pojo means the Java class which can be compiled by using only JDK is called as Pojo. Okay. Next one. What is a Java Bean? Any Java class which follow bean specification rules is called as a Java Bean. Class should implement serializable interface. Class should have private data members. Every private variable should have public setter and public getter. Classes should have zero param constructor. Bean classes are used to write the business logic and to retrieve the data. Write the business logic and to store and retrieve the data. Component classes contains the business logic. Controller service DAOs comes under components. Now guys, in our project, several classes will be available. Every class will be independent in the project. Classes will be, one class will be dependent on the another class in the project. Now I have a question. So we are going to develop several classes in the project. All our classes will be dependent or independent. One class will be dependent on the another class, or one class will be independent on the another class. Classes will be dependent or classes will be independent in the project. Classes will be dependent. So in the project, we will have multiple classes and the classes will be dependent on each other. In a project, we will develop multiple classes. In a project, we will develop multiple classes and those classes will be dependent on other classes. Okay, guys. For example, let us take the example. Controller class should call service class methods. Controller class should call service class methods. Okay, service class should call repository methods. Controller class will call service class methods, and service class will call DAO class methods. So that means it is a dependency, right? Controller will have the logic to deal with the request and response. Service will contain the logic of business. DAO will contain the logic to communicate with the database. So controller class will call the service method. Service class will call the DAO method. So now my question is, how many ways one Java class can call the methods of another Java class? So in my project, we are going to develop multiple classes and those classes will be dependent on other classes. So let us take an example. If I am taking the example of MVC architecture, we are going to develop a project. Here my controller is available. Example, login controller. Here I have a login service and here I have a login DAO and it is going to communicate with the database. For my application here, UI is available. So here UI, user interface available for my project. Here controller is available for my project. And here service is available for my project. Controller is available for my project. Service is available for my project. And DAO is available for my project. And here database is available for my project. Okay. My controller will get a request from the UI. UI application will send a request to the controller. Then controller is going to call service layer method. Service layer method should call DAO method. DAO method should interact with the database. That means controller class should talk to service class method. Service class method should talk to DAO method. So these classes are dependent. These classes are independent, guys. Can you tell me these classes are dependent or these classes are independent now? Can you guys tell me these classes are dependent or these classes are independent now? Whatever the classes we are developing now, these classes are dependent or these classes are independent? Come on, guys. These classes are dependent or these classes are independent? Come on. I want your answer. I want your answer, guys. These classes are dependent or these classes are independent? Let me know. Classes are dependent or classes are independent? Dependent, right? These classes are dependent, na? These classes are dependent, right? Because one class should talk to another class. Controller class should access service class method. Service class method should access DAO class method. Controller class should access service class. Service class should access DAO class methods. Okay. So these classes are dependent. One class is dependent on another class. Now, can you guys tell me how this one class can talk to another class? Can you guys tell me how this one class can talk to another class in the Java? Assume that I have two classes, controller and service. How many ways one class can talk to another class in the Java? I want you people to tell me how one class can talk to another class in the Java. How many ways one class can talk to another class in the Java? Can you guys tell me that? Can you guys tell me that? So here in a project, we will develop multiple classes and those classes will be dependent on other classes. So in Java, one class can talk to another class in two ways. In Java, one class can talk to another class in two ways. One is by using inheritance, another one is by using composition. This is also called as easier relationship and as a relationship. If one class wants to talk to another class, those classes should have either easier relationship or has a relationship. If we want to communicate from one class to another class, those classes should have either easier relationship or those classes should have has a relationship. Easier relationship nothing but inheritance, has a relation nothing but composition. Are you guys able to understand my point? I'm taking two classes. I want to access one class method from the another class. If one class method I want to access from the another class, if one class method I want to access from the another class, then we need to go for either easier relation or we need to go for has a relation. If the classes are having the easier relation or has a relation, then only we can go for connection from one class to another class. Then only one class method we can access in the another class. Okay, let me take a simple example here. I'm going to take very simple example to understand this, to explain you this concept. I'm having a car class. My car class is having a drive method. I'm having a car class. My car class is having a drive method. And there is another class called engine class. In the engine class, I'm having start method. In the engine class, I'm having the start method. Okay, if I want to drive the car, engine should be started. That is the requirement. There are two classes. One class is called as an engine. Another class is a car. If I want to drive the car, first I need to start the engine. Start method, engine start method is one class. Car drive is one class. Okay. Now, if I want to drive the car, I need to start the engine. That means car class should call the engine class start method. How many ways car class can call the engine class start method? How many ways car class can call the engine class start method? Car class is having drive method. Engine class is having start method. How many ways car class can start the engine? Engine start method. How many ways car class can call the engine class start method? Come on, guys. Can you tell me? Can you tell me? How many ways we can go for one class to another class communication? You told two ways. That's correct. One Java class can access the methods of the another Java class in two ways. One is by using easier relationship or by using has a relationship. If a car class wants to start the engine, car should extend the properties from the engine or car should create the object for the engine. Those are the only two options we have. Car class should extend the properties from the engine or car class should create the object for the engine. Okay, if I go for extends, then we can do that. So what is the meaning of that? Car extends engine. Car extends engine. Then I can directly call the engine method. Then I can directly call the start method. This is one approach. Second approach is create the object. So what I will do? Engine eng is equal to new engine. I can create the object for the engine class and I can call the start method directly by using engine.start. So in this way, car class can access engine class method. One is by using extending the properties. Second one is by using create the object. If you extend the properties, that is called as is a relation. If you create the object, that is called has a relation. That is called has a relation. Are you guys clear with my point? Are you guys clear with my point? So in the project, multiple classes will be available. One class will be dependent on the another class. In the project, multiple classes will be available. One class will be dependent on the another class. So let's take an example. I have a car class and I have a engine class. Car class is having a drive method. Engine class is having a start method. If I want to drive the car, then I need to start the engine. So if I want to drive the car, I need to start the engine. Car class should extend the properties from the engine, then I can call the start method. If I don't want to go for inheritance, I need to create the object for the engine and I'm going to call the start method of the engine. If I go for inheritance, can you guys tell me, is there any problem if I go for inheritance like this? Is there any problem if I go for inheritance like this? Come on, guys. Is there any problem if I go for inheritance like this? No problem. Huh? There is a problem. Why? Because if I extend the properties from the engine, tomorrow, can I extend properties from any other class? Can my car extend the properties from any other class in the future? Can my car extend the properties from any other class in the future? Can my car extend the properties from any other class in the future? No. We closed the gate for inheritance. We closed the gate for inheritance. That means our classes are tightly coupled. Our classes are tightly coupled. We closed the gate for inheritance. We closed the gate for inheritance. Closed the gate for inheritance. Come on, guys. Are you guys clear with my point? If my car class is extending the properties from the engine, tomorrow my car cannot extend the properties from any other class. My car class and engine class, my car class will be tightly coupled with only engine. It cannot extend the properties from any other class in the future. My car class cannot extend the properties from any other class in the future. So this is not the recommended solution. Are you guys getting my point? This is not the recommended solution. Why? Because my car class is tightly coupled with the engine. If you want to access one class methods from the another class, going blindly for the inheritance is not recommended. Going blindly for the inheritance is not recommended. Okay, guys. So inheritance we should not use in all the scenarios. Okay. Then if I go for object creation, is it recommended solution? If I create the object for the engine class, and if I call the methods, is this recommended solution or is this not recommended solution? This is also not recommended solution. Why? Why? Because today we are creating the object by using zero param constructor. Suppose, for example, assume that in the engine class, they changed the zero param constructor. They added 2 parameters. For engine class, they added a constructor with brake and they added a constructor with fuel. Then what happens? If they modify the constructor of the engine class, our car class can be compiled. Our car class will fail at the compilation. Come on, guys. if they create, if they change the constructor of the engine class, then what will happen? It will fail at the compilation, right? So my car class is tightly coupled with the engine. My car class is loosely coupled with the engine. This is also not a recommended solution. This is also not a recommended solution. So now do you understand what is the meaning of tightly coupling? If one class is directly depends on the another class, then that is called as tightly coupling. When we are developing a project, we will develop multiple classes. When we are developing a project, we will develop multiple classes. One class we have the dependency with the another class. One class method wants to call the another class method. For example, my controller classes wants to access the service classes methods. My service classes should access the DAO class methods. How one class can access the another class? One class can access the another class by using inheritance or by using composition. Inheritance means easier relation. Composition means a has a relation. When we go for easier relation, our car is extending the properties from engine. Our car class cannot extend the properties from any other class in the future. Car is tightly coupled with engine. It cannot extend the properties from any other class in the future. So, okay, instead of going for inheritance, I'm going for composition. I'm going for composition. That means I am creating the objects. I'm creating the object. If I create the object directly, I'm using the zero param constructor to create the object. Tomorrow, they will change the constructor of the engine. They added two parameters for the engine. One is fuel, another one is brake. Then, if I want to create the engine, I should know how to create the brake object. I should know how to create the fuel object also. If the engine class constructor is modified with the fuel and if with the fuel with the brake as a parameter, then I should know how to do that. How to create the object of the engine, I should know. Okay, guys. Are you clear with my point? So here, extending the properties, creating the object is recommended or not recommended. By default constructor available. Whenever you add only parameter constructor, default constructor will not be available. If you don't write any constructor in the class, then only default constructor will come. If you write a constructor, then default constructor will not come. Understand? You are trying to create the object for the engine by using zero param constructor. If we add a parameter constructor in the class, then default constructor will not come. Then your class will fail at the compilation. So in the both approaches, we have tightly coupling. In the both approaches, we have tightly coupling. So now what we need to do is, without extending the properties, without creating the object, I want one class to access the methods of the another class. Then my classes can be loosely coupled. Without extending the properties, without creating the object, car class should be able to access the engine class. That's where our Spring Core module comes into picture. So what is the Spring Core? It is all about managing the dependencies among the classes with loosely coupling. If you go for the Spring Core module, without extending the properties, without creating the object directly, one class can access the methods of the another class. That is called dependency injection. That is called dependency injection with loosely coupling. When I started the class, when I write this line of code, so many people asked me, sir, what is a dependency? What is loosely coupling? Dependency means one class is dependent on the another class for execution. Loosely coupling means without extending the properties, without creating the object, one class should be able to access the methods of the another class. That is called loosely coupling. But in general, when one class wants to access the methods of the another class, either we should go for extending the properties or we need to go for creating the object. If you extend the properties, your classes will be tightly coupled. If you create the object, your classes will be tightly coupled. Extending the property is not recommended. Creating the object is not recommended. without using extending, without creating the object, we should be able to access one class methods in the another class. That's where dependency injection comes into picture. If you go for the Spring Core module will take care of the dependency injection with loosely coupling. Now, do you understand why we are going for Spring Core module? If you go for the Spring Core module, you can develop your classes with loosely coupling, and you can access one class methods in the another class without inheritance, without composition, without extending the properties, without creating the object. We can access one class methods in the another class. That we can achieve by using Spring Core module. What is the Spring Core module? Spring Core module is all about managing the dependencies among the classes with loosely coupling. So I have two classes. One class want to access the methods of the another class. Okay, guys. I have two classes. One class methods I want to access in the another class without creating the object, without extending the properties. How it is possible? That's where Spring Core module comes into picture. Spring Core module will take care of the object creation. Spring Core module will take care of the loosely coupling. By using Spring Core module, we can achieve the dependency injection. We can communicate from one class to another class with loosely coupling. Are you guys able to understand my point? Still anybody not able to understand what is tightly coupling and what is loosely coupling? Anybody not able to understand what is tightly coupling and what is loosely coupling? You got the clarity? Yeah. What is the dependency? Dependency means car class depends on the engine. That is called dependency. One class is dependent on the another class. That is called dependency. Without having the another class method, our method cannot be executed. Can we drive the car without engine? Can we drive the car without engine? No. So if I want to drive the car, then what should I do? If I want to drive the car, what should I do? I need to start the engine. Come on, guys. If I want to drive the car, I need to start the engine. That means, can I say car is dependent on engine? Can I say car is dependent on engine? Come on, guys. Car is dependent on engine or car is not dependent on engine? Car is dependent on engine. Car, I'm repeating once again. Please observe, guys. Last time I'm going to repeat. Car class is available. Engine class is available. Car class is having a drive method. Engine class is having a start method. If I want to drive the car, first I need to start the engine. If I want to drive the car, I need to start the engine. So car is one class, engine is one class. One class method I want to access in the another class. Engine class start method I want to access in the car class drive method. Car is one class, engine is one class. How one Java class can access another Java class method? There are two options. One is by using inheritance, another one is by using composition. If one Java class wants to access another Java class method, if one Java class method wants to access another Java class method, we have two options. One is inheritance, another one is composition. If I go for inheritance, what is the problem? Car extends engine. If a car is extending from engine, car cannot extend the properties from any other class in the future. Car is tightly coupled with engine. So engine class extending by car. Car is tightly coupled with engine. Car is tightly coupled with engine, right? So here car class will be tightly coupled with engine. That's why going for inheritance is not recommended. And that too, tomorrow, if they make any changes in the engine class, car class will be affected because car is extending the properties from the engine directly. Car is tightly coupled with the engine. So going for inheritance always is not recommended. Going for inheritance always not recommended because car is directly extending from engine. If any changes happened in the engine, those changes will reflect on the car. Car compilation may fail. If any changes happened in the engine, car class can break. Okay, that's why inheritance is not recommended. As inheritance is not recommended, can we go for composition? Can we go for object creation? Has a relationship? What is the meaning of has a relationship? Creating the object and calling the method is called as has a relation. If I go for has a relation, what is the problem? If I go for has a relation, what is the problem? Today, engine class is having 0 param constructor. I am able to create the object. Assume that tomorrow, engine class constructor modified. They have taken brake as one parameter. They have taken fuel as one parameter. Engine class constructor modified with 2 parameters. One is brake, another one is fuel. Now, when the engine class constructor is modified with brake and fuel as a parameter, they added parameter as a constructor, only parameter as a constructor. When they add only parameter as a constructor, can we create object like this? Will our code work now? Our code will not work. Come on, guys, you understand my point. Today we are creating object for the engine to call the engine class method. Car class want to access the engine class method. Inheritance is not recommended. So I'm going to create the object. If I create the object, then what will happen? If I create the object, then what will happen? If I create the object, that means I'm creating the object by using 0 param constructor. I'm creating the object by using 0 param constructor. So tomorrow, assume that if they modify the constructor, they have added brake as a parameter, fuel as a parameter. So if they modify the constructor of the engine, our car class will work or our car class will not work. Our car class will work or our car class will not work. Our car class will not work. And that too, if you want to create the object for the engine, you should create the object for the brake class. You should create the object for the fuel class, because engine is expecting brake object, fuel object. If I want to create the object for the engine, I should know how to create the object for the brake. I should know how to create the object for the fuel. I need to create the object for the brake. I need to create the object for the fuel. Then only I can create the object for the engine. So here, object creation process, complicating or not? If they modify the engine class constructor with brake and fuel, then if I want to create the engine object, I should create the object for the brake. I should create the object for the fuel. Then I should create the object for the engine. That means I need to know the complete object creation process of the engine. That is a headache for me. And my class is tightly coupled with engine. Tomorrow, if engine class constructor is modified, my car class constructor should be modified. You understand why it is not recommended to create the object now? Guys, you understand why it is not recommended to create the object now? Why it is not recommended to extend the properties? Why it is not recommended to create the object? Yes, because if you extend the properties or if you create the object, classes will be tightly coupled. Classes will be tightly coupled. Then what is the meaning of loosely coupling? Without extending the properties, without creating the object, we should be able to access engine class methods in the car class. Then that is called as loosely coupling. Without extending the properties from the engine class, without creating the object for the engine class, my car should be able to access engine class methods. Without inheritance, without object creation. So if my car is accessing the method of engine without object creation, without inheritance, can I say my car is loosely coupled with engine? Can I say my car is loosely coupled with engine? Yes. Sir, then how to develop the classes with loosely coupling? How one Java class can access the methods of another Java class without inheritance, without object creation? That's where our Spring Core module comes into picture. So we are going to understand how to develop the classes with loosely coupling by using Spring Core module. What is the main purpose of the Spring Core module? Spring Core module is going to help us to develop the classes with loosely coupling. In the tomorrow session, I will show you how to access one class method in the another class without inheritance, without composition, without extending the properties, without creating the object, I will show you how one Java class can access the methods of the another Java class. Are you guys clear with my point? What is tightly coupling and what is loosely coupling? So if I extend the properties, if I create the object, classes will be tightly coupled or classes will be loosely coupled. Classes will be tightly coupled or classes will be loosely coupled. Tightly coupled. What is the meaning of loosely coupling? What is the meaning of loosely coupling? Accessing one class methods in the another class without extending the properties, without creating the project, without creating the object. How to access one class method in the another class without creating the object and without extending the properties? By using Spring Core module. If you use the Spring Core module, then I can develop my classes with loosely coupling. One class will access the methods of the another class without inheritance, without composition. Are you clear with my point? Are you clear with my point? Yes. Yes. Okay, guys. So in the tomorrow session, we'll discuss about that. And 1 minute, I'm changing the Zoom link for the tomorrow session, guys. So people who got joined in our course, they got the access for portal. I'm going to update the new Zoom link in the portal. You guys already know how to join the class from the portal. I'm going to remove old Zoom link and I'm going to add the new Zoom link in the portal. So could you please check it? Zoom link is updated in the portal for tomorrow's class. All of you, please log in into our website. All of you, please log in into our website. And can you check it? Zoom link, are you able to access for tomorrow's class? New Zoom link I have added. Link is updated in the portal. Tomorrow class will be there on the new Zoom link. Can you guys check it?